believe we're probably live on all the platforms it's going out to. All the API connections have been made and real-time streaming protocols have been connected. So you're here for Beard Banter. This is episode 27, but it's a very special episode. This is actually the first of a series of a few episodes around beardless banter. And the intention is we have a Shave That Beard charity that's going to kick off. ConnectWise is building a barbershop in the ConnectWise event for us, and we're going to be shaving our beards to donate to 5 charities listed here. But I'm going to get us kicked off because today the intention is I have 5 of our shavees here with us that are going to be participating in a series of questions to talk about who they are and why the heck they've decided to lose their beard that they're probably quite partial to. And then also like what you could do as an audience member to go protect yourself or grow from a cybersecurity perspective or help grow the cybersecurity community, depending on your position in life. So I'm going to kick it off. I am going to bring up Mr. Ian Richardson from R&R Consulting. Here's his kickoff slide. But we've listed them as their titular name of beard murderers. It's their idea that started this off. They are a consulting firm and a marketing consulting firm in a lot of ways. And this was kind of their concept of maybe we could do a good thing with a little bit of the personal capital that a lot of people in the channel have to go give something back to charity. And I think they also may have a secret hatred of beards. But without further ado, let's go ahead and bring Ian on. I'm also spinning all the plates, so bear with me if I mess up here. Ian, what is up, my brother?
What's happening? My bearded friend, I join you now at the turn of the tide to murder your beards.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you have started. It's not lost upon me that you started growing a very nice beard, actually, in the time that I've seen you. So I think there's a little bit of like poetic irony playing out here. Maybe I'm incorrect. This might be like Highlander.
There's the hint here, right? Like all of these beards are going to get murdered. There's going to be a bunch of hair on the floor.
Sure.
And if we
for
can
good cause.
if we can double our goal, I will take that discarded facial fluff and affix it to my own face.
Yeah. The Matt beard for you, and maybe like Matt Jason beard. This could be this weird amalgam beard, right?
I'm open to all of them. Like we can stitch
it
together like Frankenstein's monster. This can be really, really horrific. So
yeah.
like we gotta have enough base here to be able to affix stuff too.
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get it. So listen, I brought you first. You're going to help me co-host this set of questions. We're going to kind of tag team asking them from each of these victims that have joined in with me. But I'd like to ask, where are we? Where's the charity at? Give us the quick figures. You're the man with the plan.
Number figures. We just went past $27,000 donated. There's been $15,000 already donated to Hackers for Vets. There's $10,000 in the process of going out to Women Who Code. And we're already with that donation, we're already 2,000 change on our way to the next distribution limit. So we've got 2 out, and we're already 20% of the way towards number 3. That's the type of progress that can be made with focused donations. So
that's awesome.
Moving well.
Well, let's get to why people are here, which is to meet some of these other fellow band. How did I say it earlier? A band of idiots, I think was kind of the terminology that might have been used, but it's okay. A hodgepodge, I believe, is the term we used. Yes,
a hodgepodge of idiots. A hodgepodge.
All right, let's kick off one of my favorite people. I'm so happy he jumped in really early and said yes. He was one of the fastest ones to get on board with this concept. Let's go ahead and kick off this slide. If you see at the bottom down here, please go to go.cybermattlee.com/GoFundMe and donate $20, $5, $1,000, $20,000. Listen, we'd love to see you help out with this cause. We're already at 80 separate donations, but we're going to be talking to Alex Farling with Lifecycle Insights. Brilliant guy, okay beard. I mean, if we're in the grand scheme of things, but without further ado, let's bring up Alex. Now that I've punched him in the face, he can come in swinging, I suppose. But Alex, join us, buddy. How are you?
Hey, Matt. I really thought you were going to say one of my favorite idiots. I thought that's what was coming.
It was in my heart.
You missed an opportunity there.
It was in my heart.
I hold that title. Thank you. I am the favoritist of the idiots.
Favoritist. I like it.
All right, so let's do this, Alex. I'd love to have you here. I'm so happy that you joined in, and I think you've made a big impact. We've actually got quite a bit of donations from people that said they came from you, so thank you very much. let's do this. Tell me about yourself and kind of tell us what you do. I guess I was warned not to use the term professional specifically, but tell us about what you
it's a
do and who you
stretch.
are.
We all have stretch goals, right? Professional is a stretch goal. So I think this is one of those things where I spent my life in the channel. So I was growing up. I dropped out of college a couple times. Spent my life in sales. I actually had a pretty good job as a corporate trainer for a while, and I was teaching the people that answered the phone, "Thank you for calling Dell Tech Support." As we kind of got into the early 2000s and this outsourcing thing became huge, my job got outsourced to India. So when my job got outsourced to India, I just kind of fell into a job going from a tech support trainer to working at a small break fix computer shop, and I decided it was something I wanted to do. And a resignation and a non-compete 2-year workout later, and a few other things. And before I knew it, I owned a small break fix computer shop, and that was really kind of the thing that got me started in the channel. And
Can
that was
I pause you for a
2004.
sec?
Yeah.
You and I have talked on many of these things together, and I don't think I've ever come to this corollary.
Okay.
I was in the exact same position working for Chris Hoos at Choose
That's
Networks, and he and I came to the same thought of, I don't think I can do this unless I own my own.
Yeah.
And he let me become an investor.
That
And
was
he made it
exactly
easy
the
for me to
problem I
become an
had.
investor.
I worked
Yeah.
for a great family. They were good people. The daughter was the chief financial officer, and it was just clear to me that even though I held the keys and was managing the place, that eventually blood was going to be thicker than water, and our personalities didn't really get along. So it's just time for me to step away. So I did. I stepped away. I went and I filled vending machines for a year. I managed a Radio Shack for a year, and
I was a security guard for a minute. Yeah,
there you go. Yeah, I mean, you got to do non-compete things. But when I got back in it, I got in as a small break fix computer shop, as most of these guys have, and transitioned to managed services. The same story everybody's got. It's funny. I ran into Brett Cheloff last week, and I said, I was lab tech customer in like 2008, and he says, "That's funny. Did it work?" And we were in it way back.
Which part? Patching?
Right. No, I think he was talking about remote access, but whatever. It was the VNC flavor of the month back then. But I've been in this industry a long time. I've since sold my MSP and come over to Lifecycle Insights and kind of helped co-found this project. But I've been in the channel so long, I just really identify as an MSP still. And then when I saw the community banding together to do something cool, it just really hit me that it was something I needed to be involved in.
Well, that's awesome. So that kind of touches a bit on the why, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, my why really was you guys were supporting Hackers for Vets, and my dad was a Navy guy, so that was the one that said, I'll cut a beard off for that.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. And you think of, Mike has had, if anybody's ever followed his story, he's Mike the Haunted Hacker Jones. I think he's had his own run-in with our federal law enforcement systems and structures, and was a former vet himself, and kind of didn't have that outlet that that creates kind of this professional reason to do what I did and continue doing what I'm doing for transitioning military personnel. And so he really believes in it very, very much. Yeah, I'm getting feedback as well. That's interesting. Okay, fixed itself. A little bit of audio fix, but anyways, doesn't matter. So the point is, that's awesome. I actually didn't know that's the one that really did it for you, but Mike would have had a hard time gathering funds as a brand new charity. When I was at United Way's distribution committee for 10 years, I couldn't bring on a new charity very easily. The way the system was weighted, if you didn't have 3 to 4 times whatever you're receiving being received in in-kind donations or matching donations or things that gave you this ability to say, here's the value I have to have, I couldn't make it algorithmically work even if you were saving the Pope tomorrow. Like it wouldn't work. And so charities just starting need some kind of angel capital, kind of in the same way. And so that's what I wanted to do, which takes on some risk and brings on some things that I'm willing to shoulder. In fact, Ian knows I've set aside $100,000 that is my cushion in case things don't go well with some of these charities, right? This is Matt's protection to help people being involved in this. But the point is, it's cool that that's the one that worked for you, because for him, he'd have almost the hardest time getting that kind of a donation space from most of the
That's funny, because I didn't know that.
Yeah, I only know that because of that side history, right? That's so, but anyways, yeah. So somebody was just talking about haunted hackers. Funny. So let's do the last piece of this, because I want to make sure and get everybody. We've got a lot of people waiting in the wings, and we're going to leave you on to chat. But tell everybody in the audience one thing they can do to better protect themselves, like from a cybersecurity perspective, or to help us grow our cybersecurity community. Either one you want to tackle.
Well, I think I'll take on the better protect themselves, and we're in an industry that God only knows it doesn't need another framework. We have more choices than there are flavor packets of Kool-Aid. But my advice to folks would be, and we talk about something here at Lifecycle Insights when we're building content, when we're building educational pieces and these kind of things. We talk about defeat the blank page, like get something on the page, and then you can mangle it and make it what you want it to be. And I'm going to say that about frameworks, like pick one and get after it.
Okay.
Everybody sits around trying to figure out what to do first. And the answer is pick something simple and then just keep doing the next best thing. So whether it's CIS, whether it's NIST, whether it's something else, pick a framework and get after it, because there's just not enough time to get all this stuff done.
That's actually brilliant. Go ahead, Ian.
Would you say, Alex, that focusing on 1% improvement is where it's at? Don't try to make quantum leaps and just focus on getting a little bit better each day.
Nobody's going to make it at quantum leaps, right? That's the quantum leaps equals quantum mistakes. So, a little bit better every day. We call it iterative improvement over here, but that's apparently a hard word to say. So, that's the thing that we really focus on. It's where we try and drag MSPs to, sometimes kicking and screaming, but that's really the goal. It's just a little bit better every day than we were yesterday.
Yeah, I like to say perfect is the enemy of good oftentimes, right? And it's this concept of, hey, get something on the page. I love your white page methodology of stating that. So that's awesome. Thank you so much, Alex. You're welcome to stay. I know if you have to go, please drop, but hang around and join in the banter for everyone else. I'm going to go ahead and pick, let's see. You know what? No, Ian, who do you want to bring up next?
Well, he's mouthing off, so let's bring up Mr. Slagle.
We have the one and only Jason Slagle with CNWR IT Consultants. He's also the pretty well known across the industry Jiminy Cricket, if you will, around cybersecurity practices in their software. Infamous is the word I definitely would use with that for sure. But let's go ahead and bring on Jason, also somebody that I happen to highly respect for the opinions that I've aforementioned. So let's bring him up. Jason. You're in the hot seat, buddy.
Oh,
Ian's going to ask the questions this time. You got him, Ian?
Oh, yeah. Mr. Slagle, that's a lovely beard you have. It'd be a shame if something happened to it. So tell us about yourself, right? You're in the cybersecurity space, or else you wouldn't be here. But dive deep. Tell us about you. Tell us about everyone about what you do over there at CNWR.
Yeah, we're an MSP in the Toledo, Ohio area. I've been doing this stuff since I feel like the beginning of time. I'm an old IRC nerd, right? So you run an IRC server for long enough, and you somehow end up with some cybersecurity knowledge. Doing things like speaking about denial of service attacks before anyone knew what they were, and things like that. So.
You're talking about since the beginning of time. So are you talking Windows NT days? Are we talking Novell days? Are we talking mainframe days?
I was running
my own self here.
Yeah, I was running Linux before Windows 95 came out.
There you go.
So that should.
Did you ever run
a
BBS? I had Lions Den BBS.
I ran a BBS on my Amiga. I wrote a BBS in Amiga Basic. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't do that. I bought a BBS software.
So yeah, I ran a couple. I COSISOP'd several. We had a 16 node world group, like multi BBS one I helped run. Yeah, it was fun. Good times.
Nerds.
Yeah, I'm a total nerd. I don't deny it. I mean, I wear that. My kid goes, "Dad, am I a nerd?" I'm like, I am. What's wrong with that? Like,
yeah,
be nice 100%. To nerds. You'll work for one someday.
Yeah. It.
So tell us what attracted you about this, right? Like what this kind of came around. I'm certain my far better half might have poked you once or twice or 5 times about your beard. 77
times. So I'm pretty sure that like 80% of the reason this is happening is because Carrie just hates beards. And I'm totally down with that. So she harassed me a lot. I kind of poked at her and offered up the ponytail, which has actually been around a lot longer than the beard has. And she's like, "No, I want the beard." I'm like, who cares, right? Like, I'm like, this is honestly like 18 months of growth. So like, what kind of jerk would I be if I wasn't willing to like contribute 18 months of regrowing a beard to raise $100,000 for charities.
So you just went on the don't be a jerk principle. That's the driving force. That's fair.
The charities. I mean, the charities are great charities. Several of them I'm familiar with. And I mean, I think it's awesome. I mean, the beard means nothing to me. People don't say they don't recognize me without it, but like it's only 18 months old. This is No Shave November 2020 edition on my face here right now, right? So, you know,
it's like a fine wine.
Seriously, it's been trimmed like 3 times since then, but it's like basically this is what happens if I don't do anything. So, it's the easy choice.
So
mine was only like March. Like, this is a COVID thing.
Yeah, yours is. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have one before this.
If we breathe deep into Jason's beard, what I'm hearing is that we're all going to be tanked.
Yeah, if you breathe deep in my beard right now, it's gonna smell like buffalo sauce and blue cheese. Because man, it's hard to eat with the beard sometimes.
No, you said this morning you were going to be working on getting the buffalo tree and blue cheese out. Did you just not get around to it?
It's gone. No, it's gone.
Okay, good. Fair enough. Sorry, Ian. I didn't mean to step away from your question.
The scent remains.
It probably does.
So, like, I'm certain that you have 10 things, but we're going to ask you to choose your favorite thing that someone can do to better protect themselves or grow the cyber community.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with the second one because this is actually really important to me. I very much believe that people should get involved. People in our community, the cybersecurity community, should get involved at the high school and college level to ensure that those people coming through those programs are actually learning relevant skills. Unfortunately, we have this problem where academia, for whatever reason, tends to teach skills that are 5 years out of date, and in a field that, while it is old, has really only started to take huge foots and gigantic leaps in the last 5 years. We can't really afford for that to happen. So we need thought leaders and other people in our space to partner up, go join the advisory board of your college, go offer to adjunct, teach some classes, go offer to speak at them, right? To try to teach these kids what they can do to be much better prepared when they come out.
100%.
I'm in love right
agree.
Now. Yeah. Just in love right now. Jason Slagle, you need to stay away from me right now. 100%.
When beards collide.
Yeah. No, but I think just to add to that, Jason, like that's absolutely brilliant in the sense that we are a few generation gaps away from solving this potentially if we can continue to educate cybersecurity at an earlier level, trust impermanence at an earlier level, right? This understanding, Scott Augenbaum says, the cybersecurity mindset or cybersecure mindset, but just trying to help iterate at a younger and younger age, which is why I picked, the Bits and Bytes program. And she speaks at those type of events to try to get involved at the very low school level, even younger. So thank you so much, Jason. I'm going to have you hang out here and we're going to bring up another person. So let's see who we're going to bring up next. I'm going to bring up
that wheel.
Yeah, I got one of those. It's just in my head and just spin it. It's never cheats, I promise. All right, let's bring up William. So, William, you are, shaving that glorious beard that looks like you might have had for a couple of days, as my supposition. And you're also not directly channel affiliated in this. It's not, most of the other
not anymore.
Yeah. Tell us about that. Tell me about yourself.
Yeah. So, I like most people on the call, I'm sure I've been in IT for more years than I probably care to admit. Starting in high school, where they actually offered CCNA classes at my high school. So kind of cut my teeth on networking at a pretty young age, and been in and out of the MSP community in a leadership capacity for about 12 years. I landed recently now at a consolidating company for veterinary hospitals. So it's kind of the best of both worlds for me, because we operate very much like an MSP, where we're constantly integrating new clients. The only difference is we own the client, we purchase the hospitals, but we've got an RMM, we've got a SOC as a service, an EDR. I'm still very involved in the channel, hence why I'm here. So again, it's just great to be part of a private IT staff, but still operating, with that kind of MSP model. I'm at United Veterinary Care. It's kind of our mission here to really focus on the lives of the doctors at the hospitals, all of our team members. I've learned a lot about the veterinary industry in specific. And there's a huge mental health crisis in the veterinary space. And that's really what we feel sets us apart, is we are very focused on improving the lives of those staff members so they can do what they're passionate about. We take that operational and technological burden off their shoulders so they can focus on what they're passionate about, which is saving pets. So
Yeah. Yeah, y'all can y'all can speak up as well, and thank you so much, William. That's awesome, and I have some corollaries in that too. When I was hiring a engineer one time, the engineer came from a somewhat mid-sized enterprise similar to that. Weren't high on the buying and selling of things, or integrating, but he gives me his resume and he says, I've done 5 VMware migrations, I've done 2 email migrations, I've done this, and I'm looking at it, and I just wanted to set the expectation. I said, well, that's Thursday for us, right? At least at that time, and the scale and how fast an MSP operates. So if you're able to bring that same MSP mentality from a density and repeatability and scalability kind of conversation back into an organization that's buying tons of these other organizations, and you have executive buy-in to say, yes, let's do this the right way, and enable and empower them to go and drive business in a secure manner, I would feel like a kid in a candy store in that situation, right? Because you'd be crushing a lot of those integrations and bringing them into the systems to make them more scalable. So
yeah, it's been great. We're fairly young, and so we get to build this from the ground up, and we've got a really kind of great team on our side that is very focused on security. So it's been fun.
Awesome. Okay, so tell the audience why you're shaving your beard. What got into you? What brought you on board?
Yeah, man. I get pretty long-winded, so you'll just have to run with me here. But
I'm
to me,
good with it.
it's all about the community, right? I've been in and out of the MSP space, and I've made some really great relationships along the way. So many guys out there that I listen to and respect. You and Jason. There's other guys out there like Evan Franken, who's unfortunately not part of this right now. But
I know. I don't know how he dodged the bullet, man. But,
right.
Evan
The list goes on.
Freaking, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
for
awesome.
Sure. John Hammond, right? Shout out to Huntress. So many, right? And so the common theme that I think a lot of us talk about is that, we're in this together, right? I mean, it's literally a fight, a war, if you will. There's cyber criminals, terrorists out there that are actively, trying to take down people's livelihoods, and it's us against them, right? And when I talk to SMB owners, it's my kind of quest for them to make it personal, because it is. There are people out there who are literally trying to bring your business down. And so, I saw this charity drive as a way to kind of put my money where my mouth is, I guess, so to speak, or my beard where my mouth is, which is already where it is.
Or separate from where your mouth is, potentially.
Yeah, on the floor. Yeah. So, no, I just thought it was a great way to kind of show my support to a community that I still very much love. And, there's some great causes that we're supporting in the cybersecurity space. So happy to be a part of it.
Awesome. Very, very cool. So the last question then we've asked everyone is, tell the audience something that someone can do to either better protect themselves or help us grow our cybersecurity community in general.
Yeah, that's a long list, right? I think to me, it's just about getting involved and really kind of shifting the mindset of a lot of, people in the industry, whether it's an SMB owner, whether it's a security engineer, making it personal, because it really, really is when you think about it, right? Security is not just a black hole that you spend countless dollars in. It's an investment in the defense of your livelihood against an enemy who's out there working day and night to, fight against you. They're trying to essentially, again, stop you from earning a check, put food on your table, provide for your family. It's personal. And I think once more people start to see it in that light, we can, the whole game changes, and we can really kind of fight side by side, because we are in this together.
I got to trick in on this a little bit, or dig in a bit on this, in the sense that we've always fought to try to make people understand, therefore defend. But in your argument, it's saying, no, just realize this ain't some crap you'd put up with if you were at your house. If you said, well, they didn't really steal anything, but they stepped in my front door and I can't tell that they took anything, you'd probably shoot them with a shotgun the third time, right? Like at some point. So I think, to your point, when you can't necessarily understand all of it, but you understand and trust the people driving the decisions, making it personal and saying, I'd rather take the more secure and direct way of solving this than taking it in a just handle the risk and have a high risk aversion. I actually hadn't thought about putting it that way. That's, I think, awesome. So thank you very much.
One of
very cool.
the the talking points I had, you know, in the MSP space, trying to resell services, right? Trying to get them to buy in on the latest and greatest, you know, tool that they, you know, actually needed, was, you know, you were trying to fight a modern war with Bronze Age tools. If you're still, you know,
I love analogous selling.
I'm big on
like
analogies.
Jason.
That is awesome.
That's really what it
That's
is, right? I mean, you know, free AVG
Yeah.
and a firewall just don't cut it anymore. You know, it's
Yeah, true story.
20 years down the road and weapons have evolved. And if you're not prepared to properly defend yourself, then, you know, there's conversations that need to be had.
Some of these companies have at least World War I weapons, right? Like
Sure.
they're not all Bronze Age or medieval.
But some of them have just painted on the crossbow a rifle sight. So let's just, you know, put it in perspective too.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love this analogy, man. I could get some miles out of this. Alex, you want to poke in on any of the fun? Got anything to add on that?
No, I'm leaving that one alone because this one really bothers me because I feel like what are the poorest nations dump the most money into this crap, and here we are, the people with the crossbow and the sight painted on it, and it's just gross. And the expectation that we can keep everybody safe with the budgets that too often make it to security is we'll call it a pain point because I don't want to use other 4-letter words.
True. Well, I think capitalistic forces put us here, and I think capitalistic forces will get us out of it. So I think we head through. And I think to the point of Bronze Age. True. Well, that's part of the capitalistic endeavor, I do believe.
Right, that's true.
So I want to add on Eddie.
Us all.
Yeah. What's that? What'd you say, Ian?
I said capitalism will save us all.
Big fan, bro. You and I, hearts on that one. So Eddie Phillips, a good friend of mine, he just started at Malwarebytes, I believe. I want to make sure I didn't misquote. They're driving a lot more of their MSP and EDR, MDR stuff, and I always love seeing you on my stuff. So Eddie, it's good to see you, bud. And Eddie also donated, I think, a pretty square amount of money, if I recall. I think it was $2,000. Correct me if I'm wrong, but freaking awesome to see you, bud. So thank you. William, it's great to get to actually meet you. I mean, I've only met you through this endeavor and through maybe some of our shared contacts like Evan Frunson and people like that, but awesome to get to hear your story. I'm going to go ahead and bring up somebody that has to tolerate seeing me in meetings and company stuff and having to listen to my diatribe more than at least 12 times a week. I feel horrible for the guy, so I'm not going to make myself be the one to interview him. We're going to get somebody else to do it. So let's go ahead and introduce him real quick, bring this up, and I will kick it over to someone else. Hold on. Bam! Matt Hache, PAX 8 in our Canada contingency. And Ian, if you want to do the honors, if you want to hand it off to somebody else, we'll go ahead and bring him up.
Oh, Canada. My favorite person in the world's from Canada.
Oh, yeah. I know. I was talking to her about that, actually, when I first volunteered the face coverings. So
That's right. That's
Awesome.
right. So as a honorary Canadian, seeing as I live in Michigan, and that makes us pretty much Canada light. You guys are all like up here, and we live right here.
I've always argued that like Wisconsin is more Canadian than Canada sometimes.
Wisconsin is more Wisconsin than Wisconsin sometimes.
They're their own microcosm for sure.
Yeah,
so.
we'll just let that sit there for a little while. So tell us about yourself, Matt. What do you do? Like what's your history? What's your background, man? Outside of being Canadian.
There we go. Yeah, no, that's it. Just heavy Canadian vibes. So I've been in the industry directly in the channel for about 7-8 years now at this point, but kind of doing IT ever since I could plug in a computer. I'm focusing more on the last 7 years. I worked as an solutions architect and a project manager at a local MSP here in Southern Ontario. And for the last year, I've been working at PAX 8, which has been fantastic because I've really been able to take a lot of the learnings of being in the pit of an MSP and then try to translate it from the channel side out, which oftentimes is kind of misses its target because, as a distribution, occasionally it's very sales oriented and it's how do we do this and how do we do that? To have an MSP aspect, it's like, look, this is what they really need sometimes in the pit. Really kind of helps lend well. And, I've just found a really nice niche in the world I'm in. So my specific focus at this point is cloud infrastructure, Microsoft Azure, modernizing practices and moving out of traditional on-prem deployments, leveraging a lot of the new security features that exist in these platforms, and really helping kind of bring organizations forward. Because if COVID and everything the way it landed, a lot of organizations, especially here in Canada, we're not ready for remote workforce, and a lot of security holes were patched or punched open just to get business flowing, and not a lot of people are going back to fix that. So despite not being completely in cybersecurity, I am adjacent to it, and I think I bleed a lot into it. So
cybersecurity adjacent, which I believe describes everything.
Yeah, exactly. Table stakes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
was
that's how I snuck my way in. Yeah.
I think you snuck your way in. So what's it like? Speaking of being in, you're one of our victims, volunteers, victims.
See, the truth comes out, Ian. I knew you and Carrie were after murdering beards more than giving charity. I knew it.
We got him on
everyone
wax.
else. So you note that Matt has asked everyone, "What's your why?" No one's asked my why, and I'm not going to volunteer it. But
Ooh.
I do
You kind of
look
just
forward-
volunteered at asking it, though. I mean, like, we're going to have to get back to it now.
I
Yeah,
do look forward to my straight edge meeting all of your smooth cheeks.
Fair.
Yeah, right there.
And a
So-
little bit being able to auction
Why,
off a
though?
Yosemite Sam, though, right? Like, just a little bit.
Yes.
You've never lived until you've been able to curl a mustache, and just there's something into that I definitely enjoy.
If you haven't experienced a gentle breeze just tugging, that's something that you just can't describe.
That's golden. All right,
is.
sorry.
We went way off the rails there.
But he's not wrong. Like, on the motorcycle, it's just glorious, man. It's just glorious.
Oh man! So what's your why though? What attracted you to the cause, Matt?
Obviously, just it's good to shave the beard off clean every once in a while, but realistically, watching the charities that were in play and kind of watching the impact that really Matt Lee was having in the industry and watching things happen, and I just wanted to try to drive some Canadian dollars in to shave off Matt Lee's beard, because like, I want a piece of that. But
Thanks.
yeah, little locks of love, right? But realistically, one of the charities, the Women's Who Code, I have a lot of experience going through like college and the industry, and I think I can count on one hand how many women were actually working with me. And it's frustrating, right? Because I knew a lot of very, very smart people that left the industry because they were just looked down upon, or they weren't given the proper choice and option. And quite honestly, it's a large part of our population. And to say, like, you don't have a place here, don't worry about it, we'll handle this, means we're missing a lot of stuff, both from a security standpoint and who's being targeted, who's being affected, and really just other ways of looking at things. So that one kind of struck a chord with me. I definitely want to see the money go to good use there. And overall, just kind of being present in the community is always fun.
That's awesome, man. That's like the skill gap in cyber is already large. And the fact that there is quite literally half of the population that is
just written off.
barriered at best, discouraged, disadvantaged, like shoved away at worst, is a really significant problem. So
it is, and you'll see it constantly on forums, and it's just constantly like, I am the expert in the room. You hired me to be here. Why aren't you listening to me? Is it just because of my gender?
Mm-hmm.
And like try to just be empathetic with that plight, because I've had a lot of advantages just being a white male. Realistically, like, I've been, not to say I haven't worked hard, but like, you take that in and you understand the advantages that are laid out to you a lot of times. And of the 250 people in my hiring, or in my my college course, like, I went from network security and engineering, there were 2 women in that course, and 1 dropped out in the first season. Like, that was it. 250 people. That's not even like 10%. It's insane. And it was the same kind of like boys club on the way out, and it was just, I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live in that industry. So I want to try to change it.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. So, speaking of change, there's a lot of need in the communities to either grow the community or to protect themselves. outside of making sure that we're more welcoming and more accepting of diversity and kind of focusing in on diversity as a course key and strength, what's something else someone can either do to grow the community or to protect themselves, their family, their organization better?
So I'm going to selfishly, not necessarily plug, but obviously being infrastructure oriented and like cloud push is kind of what I do day in and day out. Don't write cloud off. There is a sentiment, especially a lot of organizations, I don't want to call Canada out, but we tend to lag a little behind in just technological advancements. We usually let the US figure it out first, and then we kind of jump on the back of that. But I've had a lot of conversations in the industry where it's like, oh, I can't do cloud, it's too expensive, or I can't adopt this technology, so I'm just going to put a Windows 10 box with RDP open to it because I just need to get things done. Stop cutting corners. Stop taking the cheaper option, right? Because it's going to cost you in the long run. There are reasons why cloud infrastructure is exploding, because you get enterprise grade tools with very little barriers of entry. Pay attention to that, right? Don't go to the data center or the host down the street because they're $100 a month cheaper. They don't have SSO. They don't have entire Sentinel MSSPs monitoring everything. They don't have even proper security credentials. The AC guy's in there dealing with a failed unit. Who vetted this guy, right? There's all this stuff that gets taken for granted, and it's productivity loss, and everyone just looks at the dollar. And now you can't get cyber security anymore because suddenly everyone wants multi-factor. Well, I don't have enough resources to spin up a localized MFA or do a federated server now. What do I do? Well, if you're in Azure, you turn it on. That's it.
Yep.
It's there, included. You're already paying for it, right? So, look at the resources available to you, explore cloud where it makes sense, and turn it into an offering and a positioning, not just here's the new thing on our line card. We now do cloud.
Right. It's a paradigmical delineation, right? This is a complete shift in how you should see things. It's almost like Matt's left eye versus Matt's right eye. That's a paradigm shift, right? So
too soon, Matt.
Are they crooked?
They're with the rails again.
There's an interesting thing though that I just hop in on that Matt was just talking about. That Matt, Mr. Lee and I had quite a robust discussion around the concept of cloud as a strategy. And there's a whole thing here that with a new company that's just getting started, the new startups, my consulting agency is a good example. I had an MSP for 16 years that was heavy in infrastructure, heavy in iron in a data center. We had a private cloud. We had $100,000 tied up in that rack, right? And these days, my consulting agency, it is a $2,000 Surface Pro and a $20 Microsoft subscription, and it's like, right? I'm out. I'm able to pivot. You're able to go, right? This is way different than the operating costs, the nimbleness that this buys back. This makes an established company into a startup when it comes to ability to pivot again and again and again.
And you talk about the reach, if we're talking from from starting a new MSP up, and Matt, you've talked about this a lot about, SSO and things like that. If we're taking it from a security or positioning standpoint, look at what your MSP currently supports. What are the things on our line card, and do they support what we're going to start standardizing on, single sign-on, multi-factor authentication, proper logging, auditing? Are they SOC 2
Wait, are you
compliant?
suggesting you should look at the MSP as a customer and see if they're capable of doing these things? That's madness. Madness, I say.
I feel like there's probably enough people on this call that are going to just make me look real bad, so I'm going to keep it short. But
no.
Realistically, I don't know how many times I've had someone come to me and say oh, we can't do that because my app doesn't work on I need Access 2007. Mm-hmm. It's well, why? Well, because my whole line of business runs on that. Then your business is about to shut down. If you can't keep running on old stuff because it's too hard to rip the Band-Aid off and get something new, because you're going to eventually be forced where it just like a Windows patch is going to come out and just it won't open anymore.
Yeah.
And that's
You won't be
it.
able
You
to
can't
play
buy a computer that'll run it anymore. Like you're circling that drain. You have to stay up to date. You have to move. And cloud just
Alex,
makes it
got to drop. I just wanted to say thank you for being here. Alex is a stand-up dude. Go and support him. If you don't know how to run QBRs, I don't make plugs for people very often, but I love working with them. I got to do a class with Alex and his team, teaching about policy. So it's fantastic, man.
I didn't mean to take you
so
off
much.
your trail, Matt. You know,
honestly,
I was out in the dark. I was on my way to an Irish goodbye, but Matt,
I didn't let you do it. I didn't let you do it. No, sir.
Yep.
All right, brother. Thank you, Alex.
Gotta run, guys. Have a great one.
I've got one more person that's been sitting in the wings, and I feel terrible about it. So let's bring everybody on. We can all chat for a little bit. Matt, thank you so much for being a part of this. Like, I was so happy to have somebody else in PAX 8 just say, listen, I'm willing to do this. I want to be here for the Canada contingency. I'm not sure if Mary Ann's got plans for you to be able to come down and be with us, but I'm very much hoping to see you throughout the whole conference and not just
we'll see what we can work out. And like, the irony is that a second person from PAX 8 was also named Matt. Like, of the 1,300 employees, like
there's two cloud Matts.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's bring on our last, but definitely not least. I think it was his birthday quite recently, but let's bring up Henry Tim. Henry goes to a just ton of conferences. He gives back a lot. He's always there to help from a group perspective, and I just see him everywhere, and I get around a lot, so running into Henry quite often. But let's bring up Henry, and Ian, if you want to continue running with the questions, you seem to crush that better than me anyway, so let's do this. Bring up Henry, who's been waiting so patiently, and get you up on main stage. Here we are, buddy.
Mr.
Hey, how's it going?
How you doing?
Splendid. Doing splendid.
Splendid like a Splenda. Yeah.
All right, you might get a downvote now, Ian.
That's right.
Being the host, the Splendid combo.
I'm trying to work myself out of a job, which is the consultant's way. So, speaking about job and speaking about yourself, like, talk to us, man. Like, who is Henry Tim? What's the man behind the beard?
Or Lieutenant Bones, if you would like to dig into Lieutenant Bones.
No. Who's Lieutenant Bones? And let's just dive into that. And we're going to skip everything else.
Lieutenant Bones is a long story for another time. Several drinks.
All right.
Thank you very much.
That'll be at the barbershop,
Matt.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you. So I've been in the IT industry now, coming close to 20 years. So I've gone through the whole Novell, token rings, managing AIX and Unidata, and all the fun RS6000 servers, and was a network admin for a while, CIO, worked in healthcare and distribution before actually starting my MSP. We're in our 12th year now, business in Northern Indiana. And like most MSPs, started in that break fix model, transitioned, and we've been kind of security focused here for the last, 5 years or so. And really been kind of focusing in on compliance. And personally, I've been trying to adjust over the last 2 years here, how I can give more back to the MSP community as a whole, and looking at it more as that us versus them, as opposed to siloed talent.
Yeah, there's an interesting conversation. I was just having a chat around mergers and acquisitions, but it holds true almost in any community where us versus them is a very dangerous bit of verbiage. When really everyone on this call and everyone who's been involved in this initiative is referring to it more as a we. We must do this. We must take these actions. We must rise the tide. We have to make a difference. And
absolutely, you can no longer rely on just you and your team that you have. It takes the whole community. So anything we can do to hop in, and whether that's partner panels or conferences or educating, however, anything we can do to do things together as a community to raise that bar.
Well, this is such a giving community, right? And I'm on the outskirts now, looking in, being a former MSP owner, selling that business, going into consulting, but there's just an overarching sense of willingness to give that I know that if I ran into something, and I'm not the best technical hat by any means, even when I was at my MSP, I was much more involved in sales, much more involved in marketing, much more involved in the business side of that organization. But if I ran into a situation, either business or tech or security, I'd pick up the phone and call someone and say, hey, like I'm a little lost here. What do I do here? And there's not a person that I've met yet who would just throw down everything and say, all right, well, let's dive in and get it fixed. Like that willingness to help people out is 100%. And absolutely, Eddie Phillips, there is nothing like a global threat to bring people together. So we've been kind of dancing around this, and I could see the pattern on the wall. But Henry, like, what's your why here? Is it the community? Like, what's the reason? How did we convince you to part with your glorious facial forest?
Sure. So I've always kind of believed in giving back if you're reasonably able to do it and helping lift other people up. And I've always kind of done that from the shadows or anonymously. But as a group, we have such visibility that we're able to help lift a lot of these organizations, nonprofits, beyond just this one event. So that's really what's kind of helped bring me into it, is the fact that we get to give that visibility and a longer lasting push to these nonprofits.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
That's huge.
Yeah. The Matt and I were chatting the other day around the concept of momentum for an organization and impacts like this, thousands upon thousands of dollars, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 into these charities. That sort of massive cash influx. Charities are used to stretching a dollar into $50.
Oh yeah.
We're used to making that money work, and money. I remember learning this back through HTG peer groups when we were doing some charity time over at a food bank, and they said, like, the time is incredibly valuable, the food's incredibly valuable. The most valuable thing that ever happens to them is large scale financial donations with no strings attached, because they're able to use it in their general services.
Oh yeah.
They're able to just use it in whatever it is, right? Whether it's like buying,
they can get matching funds. They can
Yep.
use it for the state to prove that they've earned the right to get into some of those grant programs. Like, huge, unrestricted capital is huge in direct donors. Yeah, it's massive.
It's massive, 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 massive. So, Henry, you've been here for a while. What's something that people, I'm gonna change the rules of the game, Matt. This is what happens when you give me the power.
That's it, man. You got the stick.
This is it. So, what's a way that people can grow the cyber community, and what's a way that people can protect themselves better? I want both. I'm greedy.
Both answers from Dr. Tim. Let's get it going, baby.
Oh, my dad's Dr. Tim. Pick that up with him. No, I guess the biggest thing that I see with going to all these different events is that both MSPs as well as in-house IT really need to take a beat and just cut through the sales BS, the buzzwords, and all of that's out there in the industry, and clarify in their mind what they expect out of products, what the definitions of those services and products actually are. And not just buy a new shiny tool to add a new shiny tool to their security stack.
And you and I just recently found out that we're working on similar projects, aren't we? Applying Sunil Yu's cyber defense matrix to a SKU stack around CIS or around some other framework methodology. So
Yes.
very interesting there. And as we wrap up today, I actually have for my show called The Game on Fridays, that's a PAX 8 endeavor, I have a thing called Acronym Acrobatics, where my film crew goes around and asks people in the office of the 300 or so in the US offices that show up to answer what is an acronym and tell me what it means. So can you fire off real quick before we finish this question? Like everybody here, Jason too, let's help me rapid fire off like 5 or 6 acronyms. I've already used IDOR, I've already used EDR, I've already used MFA, I've already used 2FA.
SDR, MTR, MDR.
MTR, NDR.
I forgot a page I can shoot you. That's actually, I started a industry
Come on, man.
decoder for acronyms.
RFO,
SLA,
RTO.
that's a great one. RTO,
TLA.
RPO.
RPO, yeah.
TLA is the original, guys.
What's TLA?
Three-letter
acronym.
Oh, shut up. You just totally trolled me, right? Like, I hate you with all my heart right now. I just want you to know, Ian Richardson just rolled me like a 2-year-old. That's just not right, bro.
You know
so
what,
good.
Mr. Rick Astley would like to talk to you, Matt Lee.
You can get like super fancy and do like laser.
Which is,
Yeah.
is LAZER, you mean? Or
No,
LASER?
LASER. Light amplification by stimulated emissions of radiation.
Okay. The
It's
actual term for laser. Fair.
It's actually an acronym.
Fair enough. All right. Well, anyways, sorry, Ian. Let's get back on track again. I kicked off, but I've got at least 7 of them to go and define for them to go ask people. Our CEO is right now at 0 of, I think, 6 and hit them. Some of them with IDOR. He said, "What do I stink?" It was fantastic, but we're doing it as a bit of a tongue-in-cheek fun on the game on Fridays. So, anyways, back to you guys. Sorry.
Well, I think we're. Did we?
Oh, he had answered the second one. We hit it all?
Did you answer the second one, Henry? Did you give me how to grow the community too?
I think for the community, it's just about being involved in the different organizations out there, whether that's CompTIA or gosh, I mean, there's plenty of them at this point. So getting involved in I guess helping with the legislative side of it. It's frustrating to me to see how insurance has been dictating our industry, or at least they are right now. It would be nice to see us take back some control on that.
See, I was talking with a buddy of mine, Chad Paulman from New Wave Technology Partners, and he was out at a meeting, and one of the things that resonated with me getting involved is you got to get in the room where stuff happens. Chad went to a meeting, and he ended up being the only IT provider in that room. There were defense contractors, manufacturers, insurance companies, legislators, whatever. He was the only IT company in the room. You want to make a difference? Get in the room where stuff happens. This is still a country where things happen face to face. The smoke-filled back room, so to speak, that's where this stuff happens. Get out there and connect with people and start showing up. Decisions are made by people who show up.
This is a true story.
Love it.
You know, it's funny. The you had said something earlier that there's a skills gap that needs to be closed, right? But there's also a wills gap that needs to be closed, right? We need to make it to where people have a will to try to close some of it. I do that. That's one of the things I do to try to tell people they're doing the right thing. But yeah, no, it's fantastic. But we need to do both sides of that endeavor, right? Creating the ability, but also creating the desire to continue to do more and more secure decision making around the board. I've already abused the crap out of everybody's time. I wanted to, say thank you for everybody being here. Jason and I just slapped him up on camera. Did a thing with Tom Lawrence that I thought was really fun. You should check it out. But we did a how we would hack you as an MSP this morning. But that means I've spent more than my allotted time I'm allowed to spend with any of you on air today. And I think it is time for us to wrap this up for our audience. But anybody have any final parting thoughts or words or pleads to donate and help out this cause?
No, are you not in the van, Ian?
No, we're not in the van, right? The van's in the driveway. You know what I need to do is I need to buy a battery for the van. So I'll start my own GoFundMe page for a van battery.
Man, I got $2 if I can put a beard logo on the side of the battery.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put
man.
Matt's beard on the battery.
Oh, then I could probably cover half a battery.
No, he's gonna put it in a bag and he's to start all his fires for the next couple of weeks.
I do want to
All
give you guys a good shout out, though, Ian, Carrie, Matt, for all you guys have been doing to help raise this money for these charities and organize all this. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, nobody sees how much hard work goes on in the back end, but between Ian and Carrie, they're probably 6 or 7 full-time weeks into the effort across the board, right, from an effort perspective. So great shout out, Henry. Thank you so much. That's awesome.
I appreciate that. Appreciate all y'all sacrificing your beards for the charity too. I look forward to pasting them onto my face.
Oh God, I'm gonna hold you to that. It's gonna be the best selfie I've ever taken. Like it's gonna be a perma selfie, man. I'm gonna make a statue.
What we do is we take the photo before where it's on your face, and then we take the photo after where it's on my face in the exact same shape.
Fair. All right, y'all. I'm closing it out. Thank y'all so very much for being here in the audience.